Okay, good evening, friends, neighbors, and family members. Welcome this evening, Sunday, November 13th, 2022, for Witness to History with our wonderful Moreland neighbor, Sheila Gardner. As most of you know, Witness to History began in August of 2020 as a way for Moreland neighbors to get to know one another and to stay connected through the pandemic. And here we are, folks, in November of 2022, going into 2023, and we're still going strong. Thank you all for being here with us, and thank you all so much for your support last month as you helped me celebrate my birthday. Thank you. Thank you so much. I want to take just a moment here before we get started to share our condolences in the loss of Mrs. Joanne Jemison, a beloved mother, grandmother, friend, and longtime Moreland neighbor on Shelton Road. Many of you may recall the blessing of having Mrs. Jemison and her daughter Rachel and son Charlo on Witness to History with us. We share our deepest sympathy with the Jemison family and ask that you please keep them in your thoughts and prayers at this time. Thank you. Thank you, John, for having this wonderful picture of Mrs. Jemison, Joanne Jemison, and her family. We remember her fondly, and we'll miss her because she was just someone everybody knew Joanne Jemison on Shelton Road, for sure. Thank you. Thank you all. Now, my thank yous, as always, on Witness to History go to Megan Hayes, who catalogs our interviews in the Shaker Public online, to Kevin and Lee Kay, to Theo Darden, to the City of Shaker, and forget it, John Dutton. Okay, my partner, who's from the beginning been so generous and gracious with so much of his time and creativity and talents in bringing Witness to History to us every month on Zoom. That was a tongue twister somewhere in there. All right, thank you, John. And now, welcome again, Sheila. How are you this evening?
I am well.
Yeah, thank you so much for agreeing to be our guest this evening. I learned so much about you. I know you from Cleveland State, but there's so much more about you than Cleveland State. Thank you so much for being with us. Let me start first, Sheila, with the question that I ask all of our guests each month. It's rare for us to have guests on Witness to History who actually did not live somewhere else before they came to Moreland. When did you move to Moreland and why?
I moved to Moreland in 2004, the very beginning of 2004. I moved because I came from actually East Cleveland, which was, I think I shared with you, with some of the problems that I had with, we did not have like good city services and things like that. So like if it snowed, we would literally have to shovel ourselves out our streets and keep shoveling until you actually got a clear path to another city. So, and then, at that time I had like a baby. And then I wanted to just make sure that, for our children that we had like a better school system that we can offer them.
Yes. The story you told me about shoveling was really quite interesting. So you had to really plan ahead. You really had to plan ahead. Well, tell me a little bit about what high school you graduated from, a little bit more about your college years.
Okay, so I graduated from a school called Health Careers, which is no longer there, was located in Payne. It was one of the vocational schools. They had just started like vocational schools in the 80s.
Yeah.
So that's where I graduated from. I actually went to school thinking that I would be into the health service field, but I ended up going to Kent, and then my family members, my grandfather, my mom, they kept getting sick. So I ended up coming back home, and then I went to school from home, and I actually ended up attending Dyke College which I graduated from Dyke with a degree in accounting. And then I went and got a master's from Myers, which is a spinoff of Dyke, in management.
Oh, yeah.
So those were my college years. When I went to college, I worked like full time, had a part time job, and went to school at the same time. So it was a lot.
Well, that was part of our conversation too, that you have always worked and worked and worked and worked.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about your son, because there was something that you said to me about what your son said because of the fact that you always work so much.
Well, when he was younger, he had to be like about 4 or 5. And because I would go to work and then I would come home, get dressed down because I used to wear a lot of suits and things back in that day. And then I would just pull out my computer and, continue, working as though I never missed a beat. And then, one day he looked at me and he was all serious and he was like, wait a minute, that's all you do is work. You go to work, you come home, you change your clothes, and then you work some more. When is it gonna be my time? And I was like, oh, wait a minute. So I would never, honestly, because I'm so used to working, I would never have, put two and two together because normally, you just work.
Right.
But eventually I did get a job when I started working at Cleveland State when he got a little older. Whereas it was just strictly, Monday through Friday. I didn't take work home, and go on vacations with it and different things like that. Whereas I was able to spend more time with them and, go and volunteer at the school system and, all of that.
Okay, good.
But,
So your son grew up here, so he attended Mercer since you're in Moreland. I mean, what was
right.
his?
He's been here. He started off at Mercer.
Okay.
What's next? Come on, boy.
Is that a family member? Or maybe somebody else's? That's great. That's great. So your son is out of high school at this point, right?
Yes.
Okay. So so tell us a little bit more about your work background, because you've worked a lot of different places and always in one way or the other before you came to Cleveland State. Metro Hospital, did you say?
Right. I worked at Metro. I started off in the radiology department at Metro, and then I ended up migrating to like the financial fields. Like I worked in the part where the general hospital area where we took in funds for like the whole hospital. And then from there, I got transitioned into the faculty business office, which is the part that just do the professional piece. And I think a lot of people don't understand when you get bills from like several different places, you have that one hospital part of it, and then you have like the part when you actually see doctors. So, so I did get a good breast of like the financials from Metro Hospital. And then from there, I ended up at Chase. I actually ended up applying for like administrative desk job for Chase, but I ended up getting a job. I guess my interview went well enough where they had open interviews, and the guy ended up recommended me for an actual supervisor position. So, and then from there, I ended up being a manager over the whole administration department at Chase.
Okay, all right.
So, yeah. So then, my grandmother got sick, so I took off like a year and took care of her. And then from there, after that year, I ended up going to a company called Prime Group Realty. Prime Group Realty at that time, they owned like National City Center, which is where National City Bank and like a lot of law offices were located.
Downtown.
And so after a few years, National City was actually sold to National City Bank. So I did financials I did like accounting for Prime Group Realty. And then when they sold the building, I ended up with National City Bank that later turned into PNC.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow. some things to think about National City. You think it's going to be that forever, and then no. Okay, things change.
Yeah.
Things change. Well, we're going to go on a journey with you, and you'll tell us more about your family and more about your work in a little bit. But we're going to go on a journey with you to Tennessee. And you're going to tell us, and this was just something in our conversation where you said, well, by the way, my family has a museum. I said, what? Okay. So take us on this journey to your family's museum in Tennessee. This is really just fascinating.
Okay, so well, my family, we have historians in our family, whereas they date everything back to like the 1800s, like the almost mid 1800s. And, and actually, I really didn't find out about my father's side of the family because my parents got divorced when we were like super young. And so actually I did not find out about this part of my family. I just thought it was our just little piece and part from what I knew from my father and, different things like that, which he didn't like really associate with the people in Tennessee. So we wouldn't naturally associate with them until his younger brother was like, hey, I need you to come to a family reunion. I'm like, okay, I was in college at the time. I was actually going to Kent State at the time. And so I went to, I think my first reunion that I went to was it was actually in Kentucky.
Okay.
And then I was like, wait a minute, all of these people and, then they, told about the history and, and different things like that. And we have like a lot of reverence and different things in our family. And so then when I went to the one in Tennessee, and then, found out, oh, wait a minute, you guys have a museum and you have like all of this land that, your great, great, great grandfather purchased. And I was like, wow, who knew? Sadly, I didn't find out until, I was, much older, but, at that time, then I start bringing like my siblings along. And then, once I had a family, I started bringing them along as well.
My goodness. You say you guys, this is your family. This is
but it was something, it was very eye-opening to realize that, this part of my family actually existed.
Wonderful. Just to know so much about the history and the fact that family members established in a museum. Now look at this, everybody. I'm going to take some notes from your, history of your family that's up on your family's website. On your family's website. This is just absolutely fascinating. This is fascinating. This excites me a lot. And the photos, and then I feel like I'm doing research right now, but somebody else has filled in many of the details. And if we go back to the, is it Reverend Gardner?
Yes.
He was born 1840. So
1840 something 7 or something like that.
Yeah, Matt Gardner is born into slavery to Martin Gardner and Rachel Vassar Gardner. Just the photos are just absolutely wonderful. So your family has been collecting this information ongoing, evidently, for quite a while. You had, like you said, your family has historians or people who
right.
was interested in keeping the family history alive. That's wonderful. So I know we have a few other slides related to your family's museum. So tell us about this.
Okay, so that is the Beaufort Gardner Bridge because like where our family land is located, like I said, over the years, my grandfather, he ended up with like over 300 acres of land. And back then it was like really unheard of for, a Black man to actually have any ownership at all, for one, but to have that much land. And I know at one point, some people tried to take the land, but they were unsuccessful. I mean, we've lost some over time with like, eminent domain and different things like that from the city itself. But this particular part, that is one part that named the Beaufort Gardner Bridge after one of my great uncles.
Oh, wonderful. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. And here you are.
And this is our family cemetery. That's where the people who are mostly live in Pulaski or anyone else who wants to be buried there, they can go there and be buried. And that is like, those are my direct links with my grandfather, great grandfather, and great grandmother, Henrietta.
Okay. So any of your family members can be buried there.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Family members. Wonderful.
And
Lovely.
this, oh, you want me to go ahead? And so this is a church that my grandfather started. He started a church, and he also was one of the people, he started like the first Black school because he wanted to make sure that his kids were educated. So he hired the first Black teachers and made sure that, you know, his kids were educated because he wanted them to have, you know, something better than what he had. And the only way to do that was to actually, you know, hire some people, and he actually housed them as well so that his kids could actually learn as well as other minority children.
Yes, look at this plaque. I'm trying to see if I can read it. St. Elizabeth Baptist Church, organized in 1872, I think it says.
Mhm.
My goodness. My goodness. Raymond Gardner, pastor. Just unbelievable, you know, and this is, you know, just what it is that you're saying kind of gives me goosebumps. You know, is what we read in our textbooks. And I'm going to share this information in some of my classes because, you know, it's rare that we find individuals who have, you know, such a history that they can share, and their family members are actually the legacy that they're, you know, sharing with us. And tell us about this this beautiful picture here.
Okay, so now this is one of our reunions when we were in Tennessee. I believe it's from 2013.
Okay.
One of the ones, this was, I believe, one of the first actual group pictures that we took. One, my cousin who actually organized the family reunion, because what normally happens is that, well, we normally have family meetings when we go to our family reunions, and they're normally like 3 days. And what happens is that, you know, if you want to host the next family reunion, then, you know, you have people who speak up and say, hey, you know, I'll host it this year. And, you know, we try to normally get it for like a couple years in a row so that, you know, to provide people the time to plan. But this one just happened to be in Tennessee. And normally in Tennessee, that's when we have like more people who attend, because a lot of people like to, you know, just bring their families back for just the legacy and everything of the experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So how far from Tennessee have you had reunions? Is it usually going to be in Tennessee, or is it in other areas that are, you know, any distance away from there?
Most of them are in the Midwest. So we've had them in Alabama, because some of the people who live in Tennessee, they'll have it in Alabama, which is close to Tennessee.
Okay.
But normally a lot of them, because a lot of us live west, we will have them like in this area. So we have them in Indiana, Indianapolis, Chicago, Detroit. We have them mainly on this side. Now, we have had talks of some people who are talking about hosting them in places like New York and California. And also we've had it in like San Antonio, Texas.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
yeah,
Wow.
so
Well, you all travel wherever. That's wonderful. And
yeah,
I don't,
wherever someone lives and is willing to host it. I mean, it is a lot and it's very expensive for like some of the things that we do.
yes, I can imagine. But it must really be wonderful to be able to go home, you know, to Pulaski and see where your your ancestors, you know, really began, you know, the
Yeah. And you know, I think one of the great things, because you know, we also invite like friends and things like that. And we like, I invite like my mom's side of the people, and
oh,
they'll come to like when we had it in New Orleans. Like
Mhm.
I had like a lot of my mom's side of the family who actually came, and they like the history part of it because we always have like a history part of
Mhm.
it. Whereas, I have a cousin who she'll talk about like history, and if she find any new like documentation, she'll go over that and different things like that. Like, she found like some information for like when somebody was sold or like about the land itself and things like that. And then like we have like a book that came out that featured like my grandfather
Oh, wow.
in the book. So, we do a lot of little things to just make sure that, the family, stays aware of like the history itself.
Wonderful, wonderful. I want to remind all of our y- everybody who's here with us today, if you want to put anything in the chat or if you want to just chime in, please just say so. I know that many families have reunions, and it seems that it is more likely, the family reunions may occur in the African American community. And they're really serious undertakings, but we also have to really think about how it is rare very often for us to trace our lineage even really just to the 19th century. Sometimes people can't necessarily put all those dots together. So this is just wonderful for you to bring this to us, and the fact that your family has a museum is just beautiful. And we can access it, online because there is a website. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. So where are we going from here? Yes, okay, your family, right here in Cleveland. Tell us about who's in this picture here with you, Sheila.
Okay, so in this picture is my younger brother and two of my older sisters. We got together to celebrate on this particular date. My brother had gotten married the day before on my oldest sister's birthday. And then we were also celebrating my little niece going to the Navy.
Okay, okay, that's quite a bit. And the fact that your brother and your sister have a celebration on the same day is
Right.
nice. It's nice. Thank you for that. Okay, now we're going to have quite a conversation, about Delta Sigma Theta, even with your, I don't know how I knew you were Delta, just at Cleveland State. Maybe you had shared that with me, but I know that you're very active in the sorority here in Cleveland, and you have many events, and you have the Delta Foundation that you're going to share with us, many of the events and the outreach that you do here in the area. So please just share with us what we have here.
Okay, so the one picture is the Delta Center. We're located on Shaker Boulevard. I believe it's 11195 Shaker Boulevard. Whereas, we rent space out for people who are looking for space rentals. We also house a lot of the programs, our youth programs for the youth. So we have like a teen lift program where they do like cotillions every year. We have like a boys program, and we have programs where they take the kids to like HBCUs or as well as like regular colleges to, just to see if, they want to get involved. We also give out scholarships and things like that to the youth programs. So we do a lot with the community. We have like a program for domestic violence. We do a lot with domestic violence. Now we don't, it's more so on an adult level. So we don't have one on a kids level, but we definitely do talk about it through our youth groups. And then the other picture over here is I went on behalf of the foundation, Delta Foundation. I went to an event for the NAACP Freedom Freedom Awards, where they give out awards. They actually recognize Ben Crump, and they also like, it's a fundraiser for money to raise money for, them to fight causes for minorities. So it was a really nice event. It was a sold out event, but it's just one of the things that, we do with the foundation itself. And then some of those people are deltas within there as well.
Yes. Now, who, and I see here, I should give everybody a quiz. If people recognize who's in this picture with you here at this event. At the NAACP event. And I just noticed that his gesture represents the
Omega Psi.
the cues, the cues. So that's great. So you had Mr. Crump there.
Mhm.
What an honor
And
to
he
have.
was really nice and down to earth.
I watched a documentary on him, and he really, really is. You know, the work he's done has really made a difference in, you know, the lives of many, many, many people. Just amazing. That's great. There may be other people in this picture. I recognize a few others. But tell us, you have chaired a number of committees with the Deltas. Tell us a little bit about, you know, the work you've done.
Okay, so I have chaired like the investments, portfolio for the Delta Sigma Theta sorority itself. We have a fund with the Cleveland Foundation. So we work hand in hand with them to have our funds managed. And then we, you know, I would request funds so often so that we pour back into the organization. And I think one thing that most people don't realize about the Cleveland Foundation, they do a really, really good job of with businesses, especially non-for-profit businesses, like managing their funds. I would say, like over the years, like with the fund that we have, like it had to be like maybe 15, 20 years ago, we probably put like $100,000 in that fund. And to this day, we still have over $100,000, and we have taken out tens of thousands of dollars out of that fund. So we, you know, and they do a lot, whereas you go in, they, you know, they help you with like a lot of organizational planning and get you acclimated. And they also give out funds to you. So if you have a non-for-profit, I would suggest that you know, you can always go on their site and, you know, request funds. So that is one of the things. And then the other thing is I did is I was the auditor for Delta Sigma Theta itself. So what I did was I audited all of the income and all of the income that came in and all of the expenses that went out of the organization. So those were two areas that I chaired. I am currently on the Teen Mother Support Group. So if you guys know any teen mothers that need any type of assistance whatsoever, you know, let me know so that I can give that information to the sorority for the group, that because we're always looking for people to help our is our level numbers are down because we used to deal directly with organizations. Whereas now, since COVID, we really don't deal with a lot of the organizations anymore. We deal with more so word of mouth. So like I said, if you guys know anyone who is a teen mother and need any type of assistance whatsoever, let me know and I can see what we can do to help that young lady. Also, I work with the Financial Fortitude Committee, and that committee, you know, helps with like personal finances. We also do a lot of things with our teen groups with Financial Fortitude, as far as helping them with their financials, helping them with, I would say things like preparing for small businesses and helping them to understand the finances, what it entails. Last year, we did like a major event with like women who were minority women who were in business, whereas we helped them get set up with like different organizations so that they could get major contracts like with the city and different things like that. So we called it like a day of pampering, where we just offer like portfolios and like a bunch of little gifts and different things like that to get them set up in like a networking event.
Oh my goodness, what a resource. The Deltas are just an amazing resource. You all do a lot of wonderful work, just committed to the community. I had a question here from George. Oh, I lost it. Where did it go? Okay. Okay, here we are. We're going to go back a little bit because George Eaton asked this question. I saw where Nashville was mentioned. Is that where or near where the 300-acre property is located?
The property is actually located in Pulaski.
Okay.
All of it is located in Pulaski, Tennessee.
Okay. I don't know anything about Nashville geography. Is that close to Nashville?
It's a little close to it.
Okay.
But
Okay.
Pulaski is like a really little small city. It is growing by leaps and bounds. And I know like one of the things that, I've been talking to some of my other family members is that we do have like a lot of people who are unfortunately interested in our land. We have some cousins who want to sell the land, but land is one of those things that's very hard to get.
Yes.
Some places is very expensive. But one of the things that my one aunt, who was the last remaining heir to like my great grandfather, she left the property as heir property, which means that it have to go to like the people before me first before it actually trickles down to us. But one of the things that my grandfather also wanted was for the property to stay in the family. So they set it up whereas if you have property, then you really have to offer it to the family first before it is allowed to, go outside of the family.
So that's good. That's good.
Hopefully, they'll, abide by those rules.
Absolutely. Well, it looks like you have a lot of family members who could weigh in on that.
Definitely.
It's not one person who will make that decision. Okay, so I know we were getting ready to show another Delta picture here. All right, share with us who's in these photos.
Okay, so the top photo with me in the red and blue, that is a event that Delta Sigma Theta sponsor with Authors on Tour. What they do every year is they sponsor authors in the sorority itself, and they go on tour to different states, and they just happen to be in Cleveland. So I got a autograph of Ann Clay, who wrote the book that is there. And it was a lot of people at the event. Most of our events are well attended. And then the picture over here with us in jogging wear, we did a walk for the Stephanie Tubbs Jones Leadership Academy. We did a walk to raise funds for that. That was with the actual foundation, foundation itself. And it was a lot of women. And what we did was we actually our walk entailed walking around Shaker Boulevard.
Okay.
So, that was our walk. And so we raised quite a bit of funds for operation costs and for Stephanie Tubbs Jones Leadership Academy. And then this event over here where we're dressed in black and white, those are three of my line sisters. I have two other line sisters who was not in attendance, and that is like that is Black Diamonds and Pearls. That's one of our signature events, whereas we also raise funds for the Stephanie Tubbs Jones Leadership Academy, as well as operation costs. So, and that one we had like a sold out event. So yeah, so that it turned out really nice, and a lot of people came out, and we work with young ladies from John Hay High School. So if you guys know of any young ladies who go to John Hay High School, I would say, suggest that they get in the program, because the program is very rewarding and rich for them. And we had like some of the young girls, they came up and they did like some poetry, and oh my God, the poetry was outstanding. And then like last year, the event before COVID, we had some young women who came out and they actually did like some dancing. So
Oh,
we, every year is like a different type thing, but it's and then we, give money back to, those schools.
yes, yes, yes. And, I want to say too, if anybody who's, on the call with us this evening has not been to a Delta event, for you to say that, there were a lot of people, I have been to a number of Delta events. Yes. A wonderful evening or, whatever you're celebrating and all the worthy work that you're doing. So, and so many people who are noteworthy, our deltas, and Cleveland's, Delta chapter is very, very strong. I'm sure it's really wonderful for you to be a member of the sorority. And so I think the next slide is, what do we have? All right. This is an interesting slide. And we can see what it is because it says Wolstein Center. Okay. Well, I had mentioned that I met you, Moreland. I think when I saw you at a Moreland network meeting, I was like, I didn't know you lived in Moreland. I knew you worked at Cleveland State because we were both there. And I said, isn't that nice? And you told us a little bit about your work history. And this is just leading up to what you are doing now in your accounting career and why the Wolstein Center is here on our slide.
Okay, so I currently work at the Wolstein Center as a fiscal officer. And so what we do is we host like a lot of events. We do like community events. Mainly what we do a lot is like we have like basketball. We have the Cleveland State women's and men's basketball. And I think that season normally runs from like October to March through March.
Right.
And then we also have like the Cleveland Charge basketball team, which is the G League team for the Cavaliers. So, if you guys ever want to catch a game, come on down to the Wolstein Center, and catch a game. But outside of that, we have like main events for like concerts. And we have like sometimes we have plays. We've had like some of Tyler Perry's plays have been there.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. We've done like the national conventions for like Jehovah Witnesses.
Yeah.
Prior to COVID, they used to be down there every year. We do like a lot of high school graduations. We do college graduations. And I know we just had Jeff Dunham down there. We had the Killers concert. We had a huge, what was it? A comedy show down there. And I know we have coming up, we have like Cat Williams is going to be there in April. We have an R&B concert coming up. And what else do we have? We have Rod Wave that is actually coming up on the 21st. So he's one of the people who he cater more to, like, I guess, a younger crowd. But he'll be there on the 21st. And we have like few more R&B or concerts and events coming up, as well as just like regular events that we have that we're going to host. So if you're looking for like a place to rent out, because we have like our pavilion area. So, if people are looking to like rent out any space, just let me know. I'll get you guys some information. And some of the space is not like super expensive, especially, if you do like community work and you're a nonprofit or something like that. But I mean, we've had people who have like weddings and receptions and all kind of things there.
Oh, totally. And that's one of the things I think that many people don't necessarily know about the Wolstein Center, because we think of the arena, it's a big space. What does it seat? 14,000 people or so. But even, when I was working at Cleveland State full time, we had conferences at the Wolstein Center because the conference center is just beautiful.
Right.
Very, smaller rooms, larger rooms, and, everything is there. What is it? The fourth floor?
Got the fourth and the fifth floor. Mhm.
Yes. So we were very accustomed to being there in that conference area. Now, when these events occur, do you have to be there? You just
I
you named
well,
so many of them.
Well, you know what? I have to be there on like the major events. Like if there's a concert or a comedy show or something like that, I have to be there because one thing that most people don't know when it deals with like concerts and shows like that, any ticketed event like that
Mhm.
is like a major undertaking. And what happens is that with those promoters, we when they want their show, we have to build those shows out. And as people like either come in person to purchase their tickets or if they purchase them online, all of those funds actually go to the people who we hire to our ticketing platform.
Mhm.
And what happens is they'll send us money like every week if we have money, coming in. And if we don't, we have to send them money. So like our Monica event, that event was rescheduled to April. So we have to give all that money back to anyone who is requesting those funds.
Yeah.
But say for instance, if that event actually took place on the 30th, what I end up doing is that anything for their expenses that they incurred while they were there, what I would do is take all of the money that came in for that event and subtract out all of those expenses. And then I would like wire them, we settle everything and agree upon, what they actually owe us and what they get. And then
Mhm.
I will do that night. So, some of those nights when I have those nights, I'm working like maybe 16 to 18 hours because I'll go into work at 7 something and probably sometime don't get out until like 12 or 1 o'clock.
Oh,
So,
unbelievable.
yeah, so sometimes I work like some really, really long hours. And I mean, even outside of that, with like all of the reporting and things like that I have to do, I end up working really long hours. But it's a lot involved in like this field.
Yes. That's an
It's a lot.
understatement. And there was one thing that you shared with me that you said the Wolstein Center has a box office, which is different from a lot of other venues around the area. Share that with people because people may not really know that.
Okay, so with the box office at the Wolstein Center, we're one of the only box offices that actually are open to the public from Monday through Friday. I think we're open from like 12 to 4.
Mhm.
And we're open on the night of our events as well. Whereas the other venues like Playhouse Square or, I don't know if they still call it Quicken Arena, but some of those places, they're only open the day of their event. So which means that, you are forced to purchase those tickets online. With us, you can actually come in and save money on, your fees when you actually come in person to purchase the tickets. But yeah, so we're not open on the weekends unless we are having an event that day. But you can pretty much come down there from 12 to 4. And even if you're coming to get a refund, so if you purchased a ticket in the past and the event was canceled, like because of COVID or any events that have just taken place and was rescheduled and you want your money back, if you paid it there, you can come get your money.
Wonderful. That's really good to know.
Yeah.
It's unique because sometimes it just feels like we're talking to a computer, and
It-
that's not fun.
yeah.
With ticketing, it's like, okay, do they give me kind of an escape clause here or whatever? Now that's not all you do. And I was just, laughing a little bit about what your schedule is sometimes with the Wolstein Center, and then thinking about what your son had said about, do you ever not work? But then you also shared with me that you have a business of your own. Okay, so tell us a bit about that and how you've been able to help people, especially, through COVID and all.
Okay. So I do like financial services. I've been doing financial services, I believe, since 1997. So I help people with like life insurance, annuities. I am a certified consumer credit counselor. So I help people with like debt management and different things like that. I also have like classes that I host occasionally for personal finance management, or just helping people to like realize some of their goals. Like during COVID, I
Mhm.
did a program for people to do like a vision board for
Mm.
their personal finances. So if it was something you wanted to like do a trip, we went through creating a vision board to say, okay, so well, how much do you want for this trip? How much do you want to take for this trip? And so, I broke it down for them, what you would have to save each month or what you could cut out to, get to that point. So I do all type of like financial planning. I can do like a debt schedule to help you, get out of debt and different things like that. Or if you just want to talk about like life insurance, if you want to prepare your family for, the future, I can help you with life insurance. And some of the things I also deal with not just traditional life insurance, but I also do living benefit insurance, whereas it's a product that you can use while you're still living. So like if you had living benefits and you had like, if you develop cancer,
Mhm.
you can get those benefits while you're still living. I was telling someone how like my sister who got cancer right after she had a policy, and she was able to stay off of work because she was able to get some of that money, out of that policy. So, those are some situations. I think we're so accustomed to thinking about life insurance in one term, which is like final benefits and paying for, like whole life insurance because we figured that it have that saving component. But most people don't realize that even though whole life have a saving component, you don't get all of the money. If you borrow from that policy and never pay that policy back, it reduces
Mhm.
your policy, and to the point of sometimes you're only really paying for one thing. And most people don't realize you can save that money on your own if you got like term life insurance.
Exactly.
So but it's just different things that you can do. But I'm willing to talk to, anybody about, what they're interested in doing as far as with their, personal finances and things like that. Now, I can tell you with me working a lot, because the Wolstein Center is taking up a lot of my time. So if you need me, text me or send me an email and I definitely will get back in touch with you.
Okay, that's good. So you're Gardner Financial Services.
Mhm.
Okay, okay, very good, very good. You are a busy person. You are a and it seems to me that you have been, working even early in your life. You told me about how it was that you and your siblings would get up, early and walk your mother to the bus stop or to, wherever and just work, unbelievable.
Yeah,
And
that
then,
was one of our things we had to do.
yes, and the fact that you're also extremely generous, with all of the giving that the deltas offer, as well as to offer people information, just about life insurance, which is always seems pretty straightforward, but we know that it's really not. So it always helps for people who are in the business to be able to share that information with folks. So I would not be surprised if some people talk to you about that.
I know my kids, they're telling me that, I do need to slow down because I mean, sometimes I'm just so stressed and I work so much and I do try, but it's like when it's hard not to help people.
Mm.
I try not to constantly get involved in like a lot of, extracurriculars, but I swear it seemed like with the sorority itself, if I drop out of one thing, I tell you somebody else is trying to get me to, get into something else. So it's like a little hard because they
Well,
always need to
busy
help.
people are always the ones who are approached, yeah, Sheila will do it. And it's also because you do good work. Anybody have any comments or anybody want to ask any questions? Anybody want to pipe in? You have family or anybody here who wants to, share that you're on board with us? You have any friends and family on with us this evening?
You know what? I am not for sure. I know I did invite them, but like I said, I know I have some friends who are probably on and some family members. I just see some people in the chat. So if they want to say something, I see my daughter is in there, my sister.
Here. Are you the daughter?
Yes, I'm Taylor. Hi,
Oh,
everybody.
Taylor, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks for being with us this evening.
No problem. It was a great interview, first of all. Thank you so much for inviting me. And it's nice to see my mom's accomplishments all laid out. And it was also really nice to see kind of a PowerPoint of the family reunions. I remember, I think the first time I went, I was probably a preteen, maybe like 12, 13. And, you know, not too much impresses you when you're 13. I do remember being impressed and grateful to be there. So thanks for laying that out. And yeah, you do need to slow down. You do a lot. She's always the first to help. So yeah, this is a great interview.
Yes, it's important for us to be able to share our stories. Thank you. Anybody else want to chime in? Anything? Okay. So, hello there. Tanya Gardner we have here.
Yes. I would like to chime in. Sheila is my baby sister, my best friend, and I love her. I
Oh.
am the sister who she said got the insurance, and right after that, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, which came really out of the blues. Didn't know where that came from. Though healthy, been healthy all my life always. And I really want to say it. It did help a great deal because I was off of work, and also even though after they paid out a lump sum, there was still a policy left for burial if if it comes to that point. So I say that the insurance that she is speaking on is great access to get, even though I have other insurance as well. But yes, that is a great one. And yes, Sheila does work too much, too much. And I almost missed this because I'm just getting back in town and I was so tired. And I was like, hold up, my sister got an interview. So I said, I hope I ain't miss it. So I'm glad that I was able to catch some of it and to speak on the behalf of her because she is a great sister, mom, friend, financial consultant, and giver, all of those things, all of those things. We love you, Sheila.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. It's wonderful meeting you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Anybody else want to chime in? Melanie Graves says, thanks for a wonderful story. Your generosity is greatly appreciated. And Sheila, you always just look so calm and collected. I tell you that. You always do, but you're a busy person. You're a busy person.
That's because I've been, my stressors is, I tell anybody if I can just let go of junk food, those are my de-stressors. I have it way too much. So like before this interview, I had to have some of those jalapeno chips.
Okay. Well, busy people always have to do something to relax. Now, what do you do to relax? What do you do in your 2-minute spare time?
Well, most of the time for when I try to relax, it more so entails reading. More so than anything else. Because that helps me, get my mind off of things because, like I tell some people, I may get like 4 hours of sleep because sometimes, I'm laying down and, as soon as I can be so tired, but as soon as I swear I lay down, all of these thoughts are coming and I can't do anything until, I write those things out because it's like, okay, you got to do this, and, you don't want to miss anything. So, I have to write those things out. And those are the only ways that I can, actually relax is to just, read a little bit.
Well, you're in the world of accounting. You have to pay attention to detail. So that's just, nature of your career. And it evidently is a really good field, that you've chosen.
Yeah.
So,
And like I said, I love helping people. I think, what I didn't say is one of the reasons why I ended up into getting into financial services is because when I worked at Metro Hospital, I used to have some of my patients that would come in and I would be going over like their bills and things like that with them. And they were trying to determine if they can actually pay for medication or if they could, buy food. And I honestly, it was sad that I had some patients who was actually eating like animal food. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to live like this when I get older. And, I wanted to also, I'm like, if this is going on, I also need to educate my family. And so it just so happened my sister who was just, on, she some woman was talking to her from Prime Group, Primerica, and was trying to, get her to do some business with her. And she was like, oh, I'm definitely not interested. And she ended up giving the woman my information. And that's how I actually ended up getting into the business and, getting licensed and stuff like that, because I used to also have like a securities license where I used to do, securities. So like if investments, if you was investing into the stock market and stuff like that with mutual funds, I used to do that as well. Whereas now I just more so do like the annuity piece of it in insurance.
okay. All righty, just wonderful, exciting story, just generosity and experience and knowledge and and you always look so calm. I have to say that. Well, Sheila, this has been absolutely wonderful. It's been absolutely wonderful. And I'm so happy that, I happened to, when we were at a Moreland meeting, I was like, do you live in the neighborhood? So, it's been great, right around the corner, right on Sudbury Road. Thank you so much for being our guest this evening. Thank you.
And thank you guys for having me as a guest.
And I have to let everybody know that, all our guests are so generous with their time and, with their stories and willingness to, share in this conversation. And it's so appreciated. And it's just such a joy for me. It really is, because I get to have these wonderful conversations before we even come together on a Sunday evening. And so I'm always looking for people to have as guests on Witness to History. Everybody knows my number by heart because the same slide comes up at the end of every program. So, please get in touch with me. And I have some ideas for the future. We're almost in 2023. So I'm already thinking, wouldn't it be nice if I knew who was going to be my guest every month? And we could announce that and offer a calendar for the whole year. But, at this particular time, I do know that our guest for December is Mrs. Vanessa Shaw. So second Sunday of December, our guest will be Mrs. Vanessa Shaw. And as I spoke to Mrs. Shaw just a couple of weeks ago, she shared with me, now we see how these Moreland neighbors are connected, that she actually took care of your son, Sheila, when I mentioned to her that you were going to be our guest this month. So that's, let us know about our Moreland world here and how people are connected. So we're going to look forward to folks being with us next month. So I want to thank everyone for being with us this evening and wish you a great evening. And I will, and John has this here. I don't know if this is something I should say or project when, but we do have in 2023, let me put it that way. So I won't necessarily say what month because we're not really sure, but we do have the opportunity to interview a number of people who are members of Eastview Church. And so some people we've already interviewed, but there are a number of Moreland residents who are members of Eastview. So our idea is to have people together, and John will be with folks on a Sunday evening, and we'll have a gathering where we'll have a wonderful conversation with a number of people at one time. So look forward to that announcement when we're going to do that early in 2023. Again, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. And I just want to say this note here from Lee K. Interesting and so fascinating. Thanks, Sheila. Thank you. Thank you.
Everybody.
Everybody have a great evening. Thank you again. Bye-bye.